too many people quit too early, right?
Yes.
On themselves.
Yes. Ego, self-doubt. Ego hates change, and this is kind of something that I've been really digging deep to in that awareness piece. There's your ego and there's your higher self. Whether you want to call it that spirituality piece where I was talking about universe, God, yourself, Holy Spirit. There's that piece that moves and knows nothing but love and appreciation. And then there's the ego.
You ever seen that TED Talk with the guy that responded to the spam?
Yes, I'm pretty sure I have.
Where he had this whole back and
whole
forth
conversation going on. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It was brilliant. What a wonderful waste of time.
Oh my God. And yet, so I would look at that and go to the perspective of what he did during that, like, because you watch his face, you watch his whole being. He was nothing but being in a state of love and appreciation.
Yeah.
He had no anger, he had no disgust, no anxiety.
No.
He was just, hey, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's you right up, isn't it, bud? But I'm not intentional.
Yeah. It's it's an exercise in being a good man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can so easily go down that different path. It's our own way of looking at it and saying, so here was a neat thing, and I always look at this and I tell this story very frequently. When I was in corrections, not the most positive environment you could ever be in, yet so many lessons for me in that environment have come to where I am today. And I remember being in the lunchroom on so many occasions where, the warden's doing this and what a this and what a that and oh my, and I would sit there more so from an awareness piece and watch it grow. And all of a sudden the lunchroom is just on fire with anger. Yeah, can you believe it? And then I would do my piece, and it wasn't anything to be disrespectful, and I would just say, hey group, who signs your checks? Hey Devin, what kind of vehicle are you driving right now? Well, brand new Ford F-250. Oh yeah, right on. So Linda, so how was your vacation in Mexico? Oh my goodness. Hey, so you took the kids to a birthday party. How many kids did you have there? Oh, there was 10. Oh yeah, what kind of food did you have? Oh, we ordered and we had lots of fun. Interesting. I said, so the individual that's giving you the opportunity, you're gonna sit there and bash. I go, remember whose name's at the bottom of that to give you those gifts. So there's more opportunity and gratitude here than there's not. And you know what their response was always to me? You, Wiesner, you always screw everything up. Now we got to be positive with everything. and I was always okay with that. And they would always, if we go to, there were some other learning pieces for me too. When we'd go to the pub or whatever after work, or somebody's birthday or whatever event it might be, they would always know when they digressed because Shawn would disappear. And I always told them that. I said, if we go down the negative trail, if we start bashing, if we start getting negative, anything but, we live into that work, why would we want to bring it to something where we're celebrating? They'd look around and go, he's gone. And it wasn't out of disrespect, it was an energy that I wanted to be in.
In fact, it's kind of the opposite. It was out of respect.
Yeah, yeah, and they knew that. They were never, yeah, well, we figured you would have gone. And I said, well, you guys know me better than that. And I remember Tom saying, it was Tom Buffy was his name, would always say, yeah, then we'd look at each other and go, yeah, we got to stop this. I said, good. So there was a nugget of information to be that better individual, to be that better man in that whole perspective. And like I said, the smallest of actions are better than the noblest of intentions. So it just takes one person. It takes the crazy one, the guy that does the woohoo, to recognize, not out of, and I don't do it out of, oh, look at Shawn, look at, you know. Yes, there's a point that sometimes you do go there to the egotistical side. I mean, I was in bodybuilding, for crying out loud. You know, I'm standing on stage with, let's call it 1,000 people in the audience, and I got nothing but a banana hammock on, and I'm showing off what I've accomplished, and don't for a second think that it's not about look at me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yet I learned from some of those things. I still was in the perspective of maintaining a attitude of, because in the bodybuilding thing, especially in the, so natural bodybuilding was different than bodybuilding. Sorry, there's a division, and there's drugs involved with the two different pieces, and sometimes even on the other end. And you could almost recognize it because it was the muscle and the exterior gave them their only confidence that they had. Right. And I wasn't judging it, I would recognize it because I was the one going around going, hey, you know, so you must be in my class or whatever, and all I'd get is a look of, and I'm like, why wouldn't, like, we've done, this journey has been amazing. We've done something that most people don't ever want to do. Why wouldn't you pay tribute to this amazing journey that we've gotten on? Yeah, it wasn't easy. You know, we're a small percentage of, how does that say? Well, the difference between the best and the rest of the best do those things that others don't want to do, even though they don't want to do them either.
Say that again?
Makes sense? So the best do all the things others don't want to do, even though they don't want to do them either. So I didn't want to necessarily get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go ride a bike with a garbage bag on and put Preparation H all over my stomach. Some of the crazy things. Like Lisa would just look and go, what are you doing? I go, I don't know, I'm just following what some of these guys are telling to do as a routine. The difference between the best and the rest is doing something that you don't want to do either, but and you still go and do it. You still take that piece to say, I'm just going to do it. And as long as you have an attachment to be the better person, to be the better man, it for me it was a concept of what I'm doing for me. You know, I look back on it, and some of my most beautiful memories, and one of my most inspiring spiritual friends that I ever had, his name was Jamie Ross, and I pay tribute to that man because he gave me this journey of, you know, I can hear him right now, send them love, you know, the peaceful warrior. Actually,
yeah, I read that.
And
actually, I read that because you told me to read it.
Yeah, and that was his gift to me before he died, but I didn't know he was gone, and all of a sudden I'm looking for some inspiring quotes to do a presentation on, and all of a sudden these peaceful warrior quotes come up, and that brought me to that piece that says, you know, oh, I just saw something else in here that I just all of a sudden adored. Sorry, I get this energy in here is incredible. It's inviting, it's inspiring. Anyways, sorry to digress on that topic, but mentors and people that offer us those great memories, there's so many of them, and we can, you know, going back to the jail pieces, we can attach to what's positive, we can attach to what's negative, yet we have a choice. And another one that I really love is awareness precedes choice. This is part of Robin Sharma, by the way, so I have to pay tribute to what he is. Awareness precedes choice, which precedes results. I've added a little bit of a twist to that. Awareness precedes choice, which precedes action, which precedes results. So if I know better, I can do better, and if I do better, I will get better. So
is there action without choice? Like, it isn't.
I can choose to come here and then not show up.
You can be aware.
Yeah.
But you don't choose unless you actually take action.
Correct.
So it's not a choice. Choice and action are inextricably linked, because there is no choice unless you take action.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct. And I like to be able, because like I said, I can choose to say that I'm going to go there, but my action still has to put me in the car to drive me here to actually be here.
Right.
You know, I can choose to go and saying bodybuilding is what I'm going to get involved in, but then I don't actually submit my application to stand up on the stage. It's kind of where, you know, how many people have chosen, oh, I would love to do that. I've made the choice. Okay, well, make the agreement. You know, maybe agreement is a better thing than saying follow the agreements that you make with yourself.
Right.
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Well, I think maybe the part that is, I mean, there are times when we fail we make a positive choice, we try our best, and we still fail.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's not about success or failure in making that choice, to that positive choice. But I do think there are times where we give up. That it's not failure because of external forces or things outside of your control. It's failure because you gave up when you didn't have to. If you had a,
right.
You know, what is that? I can't remember what the saying is exactly, but you know, 95% of the successes that never were quit just before they would have succeeded.
Correct.
You know, that type of thing. So there are times, I mean, not to say that there aren't people that go overboard and that should just learn to quit while they're ahead. But too many people quit too early, right?
Yes.
On themselves.
Yes. Ego, self-doubt. You know, ego hates change, and this is kind of something that I've been really digging deep to in that awareness piece. There's your ego and there's your higher self. Whether you want to call it that spirituality piece where I was talking about universe, God, yourself, Holy Spirit. There's that piece that moves and knows nothing but love and appreciation. And then there's the ego. Do you remember? And I won't use the word just because. Do you remember Animal House? So there was the devil on the shoulder and the angel on the other shoulder. And do you remember do you remember how that conversation went?
I can't remember the conversation now.
And there was the naked girl laying on the bed, and the devil and the angel said,
I remember the scene. I can't
don't
remember.
do it. This isn't appropriate. So your higher self is paying respect to what you really need to be doing. Your ego is saying, get it. You know, and of course they use different words, but I'll refrain from the actual statement of what it says in the movie, and if you want to listen to it, you probably go back and get the clip. Yet, becoming aware of those two pieces, I'm going to keep referring back to this beautiful topic that we're talking about, gives us that option. Because there is the choice on both sides, and the ego is strong. And it's recognizing that we have it is important. Because if you don't, it'll be an underlying piece, and it'll guide you in directions that aren't necessarily what your higher self is all about. And if you're aware of it enough, you'll get to the point where going, yeah, that's available to me, that's there, yet I know in my true self, in my higher being that I'm all of a sudden attached to, that's not appropriate. It's not gonna, it's in the ego's saying, well, right now it's gonna feel great. The higher self's going to say, just pay attention to what the repercussions are as to what you're going to do, and have a little bit of understanding what the fallout that's going to occur based on you not being the better human being or the better man or the better person that you are. And that awareness is huge. You know that the heart gives off 5,000 times more electromagnetic force than the brain?
No, I didn't know that.
Look up heart math. So it's interesting because it talks about, you know, I remember, you know, part of Jack Canfield training was when you hug, it's heart to heart. You know, so because you want to have that connection, and it's quite amazing. You know, when it's open and it's unconditional, boom, it's fire, it's energy.
Almost like the connection, you know, between my daughter and our new granddaughter. When she's breastfeeding, and just the power and the value of that touch connection that's there, right? When you look at the studies,
huge.
Is it, you know, that children that are breastfed have a stronger connection than children who are not.
Do you know why? Again, it's touch. It's this.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is
Well,
that's where the power
yeah.
comes from. Hold, hell. Oops, I keep hitting this. If I do this, I gotta be careful. Yeah, go ahead.
Just want to make sure it's not an emergency.
Yes.
Hi, honey.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm in an interview. What's going on?
Oh, I just never heard from you yesterday.
I'm sorry. I was so exhausted last
No,
night.
it's okay. Okay,
Okay.
I'll let you go. Love you,
Okay, love you too. Bye.
Yeah.
My daughter, Heather.
Interesting how we're just having that conversation. Boom.
Yeah.
Synchronicity, God's way of remaining anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
I just talked about her. I was talking about the presence. Boom. And then we discounted. Well, that's weird. Instead of going, I'm so grateful for being open enough that that conversation can occur. Are you okay, Dad? Oof, that's awesome. That's unconditional. That's power. That's beautiful. That's
Mhm.
presence. That's in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, the intention of it. Again, I get accused of the woohoo piece. I love the woohoo piece. Woohoo is the that works.
Yes, it is. And it's the stuff that's important.
Sure, it is, and it's discounted because it's not processed. You know, and if we were to
It's not scientific.
no,
It's not the stuff that science can explain.
no, yet in the energy of brilliance, the success that so. But if you can intermingle, if you can. So I take the beauty of this, and somebody would refer to this as woohoo, and then so I take this, and then I grab mindset, because that's pretty good. So that's all about growth and mindset is being, you know, you either have a growth or a fixed mindset. So now if I take woohoo and some little bit of science and I mix it together, now I got a proprietary blend of options. So, and what I could refer that to is when you flick the light on to turn the lights on, do you know how electricity works?
Well,
You have an idea.
I have a pretty good idea.
99% of people flick it on and the light came on, cool. That could be representative of the woohoo, right? But now I study it a little bit deeper so that I can become a conduit of information based on a little bit of woohoo, but understanding how the electricity works too. So now I become credible, which is kind of sad. So
It's kind of sad because some of that knowing how it works does two things. Number one, it can water down the message a little bit, but number two, it also takes some of the magic away.
yeah, because now I know, and that's why I'm not, you know, because magic is an illusion, right? So
Or is it?
Or is it? Whereas I would say, where I would say, if you're strong enough to the faith in what you believe, do I have to create a poof illusion so that you believe me? That's where we get in trouble with truth.
Mm-hmm.
Your truth, my truth, the truth.
Yeah.
That's where perception offers deceit. That's where you get into trouble by saying, well, the perception is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we get in trouble. Because perception, what can I use for perception pieces? Let me just use a quick example. I could just, no, I'm not gonna.
You want an object?
Well, I was just, a piece of paper. Actually, can I borrow one of your, oh, I love that object. Can I hang on to that for a second?
Sure.
Thank you. Can I borrow one of your cards for a moment?
Yeah.
One that has writing on one side and nothing on the other. Perfect. This is a blank piece of paper. There's no written anything. There's no notes on here. There's no words on here.
Sure it is.
Sure there is. From your perception.
Yeah.
From my perception, there isn't. So it's being able to say, it's being able to sit back and, because you would look at me and most people would look at that piece and say, he's nuts. Like, what? That's crazy. Instead of going, I wonder what he's seeing differently than what I'm seeing. Mm-hmm. It's going back to what we talked about before, is what can I do to change? And have the understanding the only person that I can change is myself. So I would look and go, well, maybe Peter's side, you know, open to the option of truth. Maybe Peter's side has writing on it. And then I look, oh, it does.
That the environment we don't necessarily see.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
You know what I love about that whole analogy too? Is looking at it through a different lens.
Yeah. Well, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's a 360-degree lens that shows us everything that we don't see on camera.
And as a good human being, right, it's open to the perspective of seeing it differently. It's opening up to a different lens.
Yeah.
Creating something that gives you a peripheral of everything. Awareness of what it is. Awareness is self-awareness of what's around you.
A real crystal ball.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, you're welcome. You know, we've talked back and forth and made reference to
Mm-hmm.
the sword, the coin, and the box.
Mm-hmm.
But our audience doesn't know about that.
Right.
I'd like to tell them a little bit about that.
Okay.
But before we do,
Mm-hmm.
I had another question for you.
Okay.
You know, we've talked a lot about where does a person, us as individuals, need to be in order to start making this change happen, in order to have the awareness to be a better person, to be a better man. And I'm just wondering if there's more to be said about those individuals that are stuck in a place that's really dark, that they can't see through to the other side. Individuals like the young man that we just lost. Or, I mean, we all see it, no matter where you go across the globe, we're faced with these crises of homelessness and people that are dealing with substance use disorders, having traveled there from many different paths. You know, whether it's pain and pain management and trying to, you know, use opioids as a way to cope and deal with that, whether it's escaping, you know, what they're faced with from a mental health perspective, and just trying to get away from it all. I mean, any number of different paths that take people there, but they're in dark places.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the world is faced with a lot of compassion fatigue right now, or feeling a lot of compassion fatigue. Our community is very polarized, or becoming very polarized when it comes to the vulnerable populations that our communities are faced with. What are your thoughts around some of this? But these dark places that people are trapped in.
Purpose.
Tell me more.
You know, there's two important days of our lives. The day we were born and the day we figure out why. And as soon as there's a purpose behind it, again, I'll go back, excuse me, and I know I've repeated myself in terms of that higher self. When you can authentically attach to why, it gives you that opportunity to be purposeful. Because what's happening right now is the guidance is not knowing. Where one of the things that becomes incredibly powerful is knowing. Because if I don't know, you're right. You wake up in the morning, well, what's today gonna bring? I don't know. Well, I'm cold. I'm hungry. I'm gonna do what I do. I don't have any reason to. I don't have anything attached to. My purpose is, I don't know. You know, again, so the theme of the perspective is having people to be able to offer a exercise or offer something that assists in giving you a sword or giving you an empty box or giving you whatever it is for the definition of creating a purpose. Why would you just hop in your car and drive? You know, we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't just, you know what, today I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to drive. Well, where are you going? I don't know. Well, so then any road's going to get you there because you don't know where it is. And then when you get there, I don't know why, should I turn around? Remember Forrest Gump? He just all of a sudden said, okay, I'm done running, I'm just gonna go home now. You know, there was no perspective of purpose as to what he was doing. And then he figured it out along the way that, wait a minute here, I don't have a purpose, I need to stop.
Okay. So I think we need to tell our audience a little bit about the sword and the coin and the box and the stuff that we just keep referring to.
Mm-hmm.
So
And so here's a perspective of so how this all came about is I was very fortunate to go to an event 2008 August 20th something. So it's ridiculous that I can figure that out. But anyways, that's my geeky. That's my weird piece. That's my strange piece. I love it. Anyways, I went to this Jack Canfield event. Never really got into this visualization thing or meditation. I didn't know what it was. It just wasn't a part of who I was. So when he was talking about we were going to go into this exercise and it's going to be a life purpose exercise and you're going to be given an object or words or whatever it might be, I'm like, I'm already drinking the Kool-Aid. Shawn's going to figure this out. I'm going to get a heart because I'm just this lovey, energetic guy and I love being here and blah, 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 blah. So going to this this visualization exercise and takes you on this incredible journey and removes you from, part of everything that we do in life is shutting down what's going on up here because this wheel is just continuously spinning. We talked a little bit in the beginning about transitioning from this piece to this piece, but slowing this down gives us that creativity nugget. So within a visualization or a guided visualization, it gives you an opportunity to follow down a path and you get really present in the moment of that visualization. And I went into it thinking I was going to get a heart, no doubt about it. I get to
that your purpose is good. A symbol of your purpose was going to be a heart.
My ego had already picked that out of the closet. No problem. This is what you get. I got a damn sword. So I'm in this visualization. I'm given this sword. Now, in my background, being in corrections, I don't want a sword, man. I've been carrying all sorts of pieces to defend and protect, and in this visualization, I'm to the point where my higher self is and Shawn are arguing. I don't want no damn sword. Well, you need the sword. Well, I don't want it. Well, you got to take it. And so the power of that, again, you think this is we're the crazy ones. I'm okay with that. I received this sword, but the message that came with the sword, Shawn, it's got nothing to do with anything else but guidance and protection. Your purpose in this whole being is to guide and protect. Okay, fine and dandy. So I go off, I do this sword piece, and we had to draw it out, and it was so vivid, it was crazy. I knew where the jewels were, like it was awesome. And I remember coming out of it in awe and actually very emotional because it was just a beautiful experience and almost like a giggle because I'm like, well, this is what I wanted. Okay, but I'll draw it. I'll do it. Anyways, the beauty of what that was in 2008. So it was defining itself. It was as moving, but as everything else, what we talked about, remembering, you hold a minute of silence at a specific time and then you move on. That's just how human beings react. Move on. And I was approached in 2010 by this beautiful being that walked up to me and said, "This is yours." I don't know why. I've never met this lady before in my life. So she just comes up to me and says, "This is yours. I don't know why, but I need to give it to you." And it's a coin. And it says protector of police. So it was like a police coin, but it had also had the sword, and it had Archangel Michael on the other side of the coin. And I'm like, holy cow. So here's, and I'm still in the perspective of, come on, right? Ego says, no, that's just weird. Like, it's just weird. Yet the unraveling, and allowing that came with it was, Shawn, protect, serve, be there, maintain that level of motivation. You have the opportunity to inspire others and not to defend with anything that needs to be with that sword, but it is there as just a guide. It's a symbol of protection for those whom are this way, not that way, if that makes sense. My warriors are going to run parallel, not behind. And So anyways, that exercise has created so much incredible success from, I talked about Darren before in terms of where he was with his addictions. Darren was so addicted to cocaine he burnt a hole between the roof of his mouth and his nose. That's how much he used. And I'll never forget going, guide me through this, because how do I do a life purpose visualization with a guy that is probably not 100% aware because of the addiction that he's in? And I remember him when we were finished it, and I'll never forget this. And he just sat back and he looked at me and he said two things. He goes, one, your voice changed. Since when are you able to make your voice sound like a woman? I started to laugh, right? And he goes, and I want to tell you what I got. I go, what'd you get, Darren? And he took his hand and he went, pounded his hand and pounded his fist in his hand. It's time I took control of my life. It's the iron fist that I've been looking for. And he looked me dead in the eye, just like that. And I went, holy cow. Like, I'm going, this is super cool. Like, I'm just so. Now, keep in mind, you still always have the perspective of, is this, you trust in yourself, yet you still, in where I was learning to grow was my self-doubt versus it working and actually going through. So it's the woo-hoo, the shit that works, I talked about before. 2 days later, he phones me and he's crying. I'm like, oh no, what's going on? Like, we were doing so good, like, come on. He goes, no. This is good. I said, okay, we explain. So I was going through my dad's boxes, who passed away, and they haven't been opened. Mom had put them in the basement. These haven't been opened since the 60s. And I just wanted to go through to find something to remember Dad. And he goes, you remember that iron fist that I got? And he sends me a picture of it. He goes, my dad drew this in 1968. That's what I got. Darren was so attached to this life purpose visualization. So, how I got my sword and how he got what he got in terms of this iron fist. He tattooed two of them on each side of his chest, because every morning when he woke up, he wanted to remember why. He wanted to know what his purpose was, and that his purpose was far beyond what he involved himself into. So he created a little bit of a symbol, but a reminder for the purpose. Then I had the fortune to mastermind up here, and I asked if everybody'd be open to doing this life purpose visualization,
which we did, and mine was as maybe we don't need to share what everybody else got, but they were very profound, right? And we could see that each person, as they discovered the symbol that represented, what their life purpose was, made so much sense and was exciting. Truth bumps, right? Hair standing up on the back of their necks, and I gave me shivers. I was so excited. And like you, what I got, I didn't expect. And unlike you, I was not at the end of the exercise. I was not overall thrilled still. I felt ripped off. Because you walked us through, and I don't want to destroy it for everybody, but in essence, we're each of us is opening up a box at the end of this this visualization exercise. And so when it came time for me to open up my visualized box, I thought when I opened up my box and said there's nothing inside, that I thought that you would think that I was making fun of the exercise, right? And I'm like, no, seriously. I can visualize the box. I'm looking inside the box. You have all of our eyes closed as we're doing this, and I think I remember telling you, no, Shawn, I'm looking inside the box. I'm visualizing it. No, seriously, there's red felt all on the bottom of the box, right? I can see the box, but I'm turning it upside down and I'm shaking it, and there's nothing in my freaking box.
Yeah.
Right? I felt ripped off. But I gotta thank you, because what that empty box, you know, when you said what it symbolized and why I shouldn't be upset, I kind of felt, yeah, that's just a cop-out.
He's full of crap. Good one, Shawn.
But it has, right down to the point where Tanya bought me a box to symbolize.
And there's red felt in the bottom.
And there's red felt in the bottom, and if you open it up, you'll see it's empty.
Yeah?
Yeah. She got one that was kind of indigenous in nature too. But yeah, red felt in the bottom.
Hmm.
So she bought me that just to kind of symbolize, because this has been such a significant thing for me. Like the sword has been and the iron fist for, is it Darren? Like those symbols, this empty box has been a symbol for my purpose that really has given me, through some difficult times, that power to get up in the morning, to get out of bed, and just to keep going and keep pushing through, not knowing at times how I'm going to be able to continue to keep putting food on the table, but that I have a purpose now and I need to just keep pursuing that for as long as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And that, you know,
So
what is it that you told me that my empty box had inside?
Well, I mean, there's a bunch of things that come to mind right now. So, based on the lining and the beauty of it, what would you refer this as? It is a something box. So, if I was to,
It's a beautiful empty box.
Okay, so let's look at it differently. So, if it was closed and it had wrapping on it, it would be a what box?
Gift box.
Yes. So I open this, and the gifts that I have, you know, we go back to our theme, and the perspective of what we spoke about before, about filling it and continuously filling it. The emptiness that comes with what gifts that can be put inside of here, what sort of gifts can I put in here and then reciprocate the giving of. You know, what you came up with, some beautiful gifts for different ideas when it comes down to offering somebody something else. Those came from the idea of creativity, of bringing something into a gift box to give away. The emptiness to be able to fill something, and the willingness and the commitment is what makes this even more special. Do I remember exactly what I said to you? Probably not, which I apologize for.
It's okay. What I heard
Yeah, what did you hear?
was, don't be upset, don't be sad.
Yeah.
You've been given a rare gift. You've been given, this is why I felt ripped off. You've been given a gift of space for
Yes,
others.
I do remember that now. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I thought, okay, space for others, an empty box. Okay. Crap. But it wasn't crap. It was beautiful, because we've taken that concept of a big empty box, we've taken that concept of a beautiful empty box, and we've made an even bigger, beautiful empty box to create that space for others, to be able to empower them to share their story, to make a difference in other people's lives. Whether it be through training programs or interviews or telling a dramatic story. You know, as people, we're hardwired to learn through story.
Do you know what causes some of the So you brought something to heart. Emptiness is where people start to go into that dark place. You and me, society, the people that want to make a difference, have the opportunity to fulfill that emptiness from what you just said. Because those are the tools, those are the gifts to help in fulfilling that emptiness. Would be my definition of what it is to not have a purpose, what it is to feel that emptiness. Because realistically, you go down that rabbit hole of nothing's fulfilling. I feel empty, so why? What's the reasoning behind? Yet our smiles, yet our gifts of inspiration, the things we do on a daily basis, the way we answer the phone when our daughter phones to see how we're doing, puts something back into it, and by us filling and fulfilling some of the empty pieces that we have, help give others hope. I don't want people to be dysfunctional optimists versus being hopeful, right? Because dysfunctional optimism is going to come from, I feel fantastic and I'm going to stand in front of a mirror. You are the greatest. You are powerful. You are amazing. And I turn around and go, who are you kidding?
Well, that approach is always destined to fail.
I agree. Whereas when you talk about, what you now unconditionally love about yourself, you have an opportunity to share that with your daughter, your new granddaughter, your wife. We find those pieces that become empowering to others based on what we do for ourselves.
We were talking earlier about you can't appreciate that calm, the awe-inspiring aspect of the calm, without the turbulence. In similar fashion, I spoke earlier about the hate, the cruelty that I demonstrated to my younger sister. And in experiencing that side and that side of my nature, that side of myself, that's eventually what gave me the ability to appreciate the other side of my nature in the same fashion.
And awareness to know that love has no opposite.
Most would say the opposite is hate.
Correct. Unconditional love is unconditional love. Love has no opposite.
Does there not have to be an equal and opposite thing to everything?
Does there?
Maybe the opposite is just nothingness.
Yeah. And if you look at it from that place, it kind of offers a neat, because it gave you an aha moment. And a questioning. Ego said, what's he talking about? No, there's got to be an opposite to everything. Why?
Because the world doesn't make sense.
Right.
Without there not being an opposite to everything.
And that's what creates perception.
We want to make sense of everything.
Yeah. We don't want to take the woo-hoo as woo-hoo. We need the science but to back it so that I can stand up front and really fight my case.
The child constantly asking why. Why? Right? Yeah. Big key is what's your why? What's your purpose?
So, yeah.
For people that want to explore that more for themselves, they haven't yet found their purpose.
Right.
They want to fill that emptiness. What's your advice to them right now? They could be in Australia, New Zealand, England, anywhere all over North America, Turtle Island. Or they could be in our own backyard here in Kamloops.
I've actually, and I know I haven't shared it for a long time because I love this piece to it, yet I've recorded, and to be honest with you, word for word, what the visualization is to be able to take that exercise and just do it on your own. Or there's opportunities to reach out. I mean, there's different perspectives, because it isn't always necessarily easy, yet there are tools there. And if that tool was something you wanted to investigate further, I'm more than happy to just send that audio.
So in our video here at the end, we can include your contact details, maybe your email address or something
Sure,
like that.
sure. Yeah, absolutely. Because the more people that have the understanding to that, this is what we want. This is the goal of why we're sitting here, is to fill the emptiness. You know, and is it successful to everybody? Well, I made a difference to that one. So yeah, absolutely. I you know, and there's all sorts of different perspectives in being able to create that. There's just a scientific way which is brilliant. I love Simon Sinek for what he does, and Simon Sinek has, you know, the power and you know, find your why, really powerful piece, which is inexpensive, and he's got some incredible pieces towards it. You know, Jack Canfield holds the life purpose. You know, you can go to one of his seminars and go through Breakthrough Success. It's all pieces of that. And if you just want the simplicity of reaching out, again, there's you and me. You know, and we can offer that up, and there's pieces of that is absolutely amazing. And I think the beauty of understanding it is that the beauty of being able to do that is we all have it within us. So as much as this is beautiful, it's such an important creative exercise that it can be done over the phone, over the computer, be listened to by yourself. You know, there's so many avenues to it, so many. And it's about reaching out. Again, it's paying honor to all those people that have given me the love. You know, somebody would say, Shawn, why don't you just say it's yours? It's not mine. Right? That's not my power. I'd be out of integrity if I didn't say that Jack Canfield was a big part of why I'm sitting here talking about my purpose, why you actually were given a gift. Yet I still have the tools to be able to be the conduit of. Yes, I've invested a lot of my time and a lot of my financial income to be that individual so that I can help people fill their emptiness, and absolutely am I there for them 100%. So, did that answer your question?
It did. You know, we've recognized mentors, we've recognized people that have helped us to get here. You know, there's a reason we're in Kamloops.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've made a choice to be here. And we've referred to Indigenous things and people quite a bit. I just want to recognize that, you know, we're here on the traditional and unceded territory of the Kamloops people. We're honored guests on these lands, in where we choose to live and to work and to play. I think it's important that we make that statement as well.
To honor it, to remember it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day to do that.
It is.
You know, from the perspective of the wisdom and the knowledge and the elders and the ancestors that have gone before us to give us what we have from thousands of years ago to whenever it was first created, and sit in that peace to go, wow, we are because of them, period.